Hey there, Scoobies. Which is our first Monster of the Week episode, so to speak, and somewhat important for the overall lore of the universe, introducing the Scooby Gang to witchcraft. The episode opens with Giles lecturing Buffy, and in lesser hands the joke might not land, but Anthony Head, as always, brings a level of pompous realism to the character that aids in the dialogue. There is something that strikes me about this line.
Enslave yourself to this cult?
You don't like the color?
While doing this rewatch, I noticed that the vampires that worship the Master do so in a cult-like fashion, as religious zealots, and as we know, Buffy's slaying is a metaphor for fighting her way to adulthood. Now I see an extra layer to Giles' line. Cheerleaders, as a rule, are associated with high school, youth, and the cult-like behaviour of teens that partake in sports and social status. It's her mind fighting against her baser urges. It's a fitting introduction, as in the very next scene we see a cauldron and the episode's antagonist being a witch and party of the occult. Buffy makes it to tryouts where Xander acts like a teenage boy. We meet Amy, a friend of Willow's, who is also trying out. Now I'm going to spoil the episode twist here, as I need to talk about this scene, so sorry. Amy's mum is the witch. She did a spell to swap their bodies so she could relive her glory days. So with that out in the open, let's revisit the scene.
She trained with Benson. He's one of the best coaches money can buy. I train with my mom, 3 hours in the morning, 3 at night. Oh, I know it's hokey, but she's really great.
I appreciate mystery when the signs are all right in front of you. Buffy helps the combustible cheerleader and the Scooby Gang discuss what may have caused it. It's nice to see them off base, providing an example of the requirements for research that we will then often see throughout the show in the early seasons. Buffy gets home and tries to engage with her mum about cheerleading. Joyce exemplifies terrible parenting skills, not taking any interest in the activity or conversation outside of her own need for Buffy to be fine. It occurs to me now that Buffy's conversation with Giles, negative though it was, he was at least paying attention and engaged with her. The show and fandom has often cited the father-daughter relationship between them that develops due to the lack of her actual father, but equally, her mother isn't winning any contests either.
I'm glad you're taking that up again. It'll keep you out of trouble.
I'm not in trouble.
No, not yet.
Buffy sees Amy checking out her mother's statue, and Amy talks about her parents' relationship in a strange way.
She and my dad were homecoming king and queen. They got married right after graduation.
It's kind of romantic.
Well, he was a big loser. Never made any money. Ran off with Miss Trailer Trash when I was 12.
How did I not see this twist a mile off?
She put herself through cosmetology school. Bought me everything I ever wanted. And never once gained a single pound.
There is a scene where Cordy threatens Amy, and we jump to Xander looking to Willow on advice in asking Buffy out.
I should ask her out, right?
Won't know till you ask.
Willow's advice is right.
Just do it!
I feel for Xander, remembering he's a teenager and assuming this is his first major crush. The anxiety would be through the roof. But Willow is still right. He won't know until he asks. On top of that, the friend zone exists, and the longer he waits, the further into it he falls. Just see the look on Willow's face as she learns she's been living in the friend zone most of her young life.
Cool, you're like a guy. You're my guy friend that knows about girl stuff.
Cool, you're like a guy. You're my guy friend that knows about girl stuff.
Perhaps she should take her own advice. The listings are posted. Buffy and Amy don't make the cut, and Amy takes it pretty badly. Cut to the witch's lair, and we see Cordy is up next. Not like she doesn't deserve it at this stage. Back at the Summers residence, Joyce is encouraging Buffy to join the yearbook committee as substitute for the cheerleading squad. This is a second bout of bad parenting in this episode, but at least this time she realises.
Your own thing, whatever it is, got you kicked out of school, and we had to move here to find a decent school that would take you. Honey. Great parenting form. A little shaky on the dismount.
Xander and Willow are back to talking about his crush, and Willow now swaps up her advice.
I'm gonna take your advice and not beat around the bush.
Or I could be wrong. Maybe you should beat around the bush more.
I appreciate the motivation, but this is an attempt at manipulation. She wants him, so she's attempting, however futile, to persuade him not to get with someone else. You often hear the fandom talk of Xander's possessive nature, but little was ever said about Willow's. Well, at least it doesn't mount to anything bad.
Forget.
Distracted by Cordy, Buffy follows her to the driver's Z class, where she saves her from a maniac in a van. Like, seriously. He doesn't slow down, try to brake, nothing. The gang realise they are dealing with a witch, and then lean towards Amy.
So you guys are leaning towards Amy.
An interesting detail in the science class is that we can already see the mirror that's held up above the teacher.
And you get...
I have nuked.
Foreshadowing, maybe? Buffy pours the liquid, revealing she's a witch. And as the following scene reveals, it's really her mum, and clearly she's a better actress than she is a cheerleader. Buffy is the next victim of magic, and in her drunk-like state, she reveals that Xander has landed safely...
You are totally and completely one of the girls.
...in the friend zone. Buffy and Giles visit Amy's house to confront Amy's mother. Buffy works out what's going on, and they find the voodoo-style witchcraft and spellbook. Getting back to the school, they switch Amy and her mother back and undo all the spells done on the students, including Buffy.
I feel better.
She defeats Amy's mum by using the mirror from earlier, and the end of the episode reveal her stuck inside the trophy she'd won, a fitting monument to her life. Although not intentional, knowing where the series goes allows me to look at Amy's mum and her obsession in a different way. Although magic in this case is not used as an allegory for substance abuse, it does enable Amy's mum to follow her addiction. In a way, it's a shame that the series was aimed at teens. The themes of parental control and envy of their offspring is a message worth sharing. You know, with parents. 25 years on, maybe lessons are being learnt by its original fans.